neighborhood center for these people. The problem is that the planners, having inherited this mania for separating things, and this being a very advanced code that we have here in Miami, not only separates the uses, but makes damn sure that you can't get from one to the other by requiring a wall and a ditch for good measure, just in case anyone even thinks of walking from one to the other. As a result of this, even the houses that are in 1 minute, within 1 minute walking distance, become automobile commuting situations. Everyone here has to get in the car, drive out to the collector street, use up capacity in the collector, come back here and park here 1 minute from where they started. Now, is this necessary? Is this separation necessary? It is absolutely not necessary. It comes from this mania from the Industrial Revolution, in which the first great victory of the planning profession was to separate the factories from the working places, because people would get unhealthy and get tuberculosis when industry used to pollute. What has happened is that the planning profession has been reliving that victory generation after generation after generation, separating everything from everything else, until finally, in certain advanced places like Orlando or Miami, you have not only separation of industry from houses, you have 27 different categories. Everything is separated from everything else. Medical office buildings are separated from regular office buildings. It's astonishing, and all of it unnecessary, because American industry at this moment rarely pollutes. Rarely is it noxious. The third world country is taking care. The third world is taking care of that kind of industry now. Generally, we have highly compatible uses. The curious thing about this situation is that, yes, some people don't want to live next to retail. You're right, they don't. But on the other hand, some people do want to live near the town center. This does not give you the choice. This one does. See, here's the retail component. Here's the parking lot, which actually is detailed as a town square. The parking's still in front the way retail needs it. This is the shops. Now, some people get to live up close to the stores if they so wish, but the town grows out, and some people get to live at some distance, and some people get to live far away. There's a choice of what your relationship to the downtown is. In this one, there is no choice. No one can walk to the downtown, even though it can be demonstrated that there are certain elements of our society that would very much welcome being able to walk to their daily needs, including senior citizens and kids. They would welcome that. This does not permit that. The planners forever have decided that this is the way it will be, and nothing else but that. Now, if you look at it from the ground, both of these photographs, I think, are surprising to people when I explain them. This is surprising to people because laymen, not planners, of course, or architects, when people who are not architects or planners or administrators look at this, they really think that when they see a shopping center like this, they think some developer has gotten away with something. You know, surely they know someone because, you know, this slipped by somehow. That's not at all the case. Every detail of this shopping center is precisely according to code, precisely. The number of parking spaces is precise. The size of the parking space, the quality of the paint that paints that there, the thickness of the asphalt, the drainage pattern, and the lighting, all that is specifically designed and determined, and the setback of the building. This is the way that it is because the code, in fact, requires it to be this way. Take a town center like this. Now, what's surprising to me when I see a place like this is that it is pathetically easy to achieve this excellence. Pathetically easy. What is so difficult about this? I mean, these are buildings. These are not expensive buildings. This isn't expensive paving. This isn't brick. That's just asphalt. This is just grass. You know, that isn't some kind of elegant Italian designed trash barrel. That's an old thing. These are cars parked right in front. What is so difficult or expensive about this? Nothing. What is surprising is that everything that you see there is illegal according to the code. Everything. You can't live above, first of all, there isn't enough parking, theoretically. Second of all, the setbacks are wrong. Third, you can't live above the store. Fourth, you can't back out on the traffic. On and on and on and on of that. What actually happens in our codes is that the bad is easy and the good is difficult. The developers that come to us to design new towns, in fact, know perfectly well that that's marketable. They know that people prefer that. In fact, they manifest it every day by the way they leave their dollars there rather than here. Per square foot, it's much higher in the traditional towns that have survived. The problem is that they have to put up with the difficulty of 12, 15, 20, 25 variances to achieve this kind of thing, and fighting all the way to do that. Obviously, something is completely backwards. Now let's look at the offices. This is a flattering illustration of a modern office park. This is an existing office situation in Princeton, New Jersey. Now, what you see here, I show this as a rendering because, in fact, the real one is never this good looking, and I'm always trying to flatter it. What you see here is a pedestrian, which in fact is a theoretical possibility, but is actually impossible to, if you know anything about human nature. And it has to do with what's happening to that pedestrian on either side. Okay? On the first side is you can see that it is unpleasant to be there, not only because there's a semi-trailer truck going by. Even a car going by at 25 miles an hour poses a perceived danger to a pedestrian. You do not have pedestrian life unless you have a layer of parked cars on the street. Okay? That can be seen anywhere on Earth. Even a place that is that has as strong a pedestrian environment as Paris, the city of Paris, when Pompidou removed certain layers of parking in the 1960s to have traffic flow, the retail died on the sides. It's only when Giscard restored it that the retail was recovered. You do not have pedestrian life unless there's the layer of metal between you and the moving car. That can be observed anywhere. Now, traffic people hate these parked cars on the street, because what did they do is they slow up traffic. But to which you say, well, to which the answer is, but that is precisely what is necessary here. This isn't a highway in the countryside. This is going through where buildings are. There are buildings here. There are people here. You can't build a highway. You must build an avenue. You see, that's the difference. Now, on the other side, this pedestrian is frightened on one side, and on the other side, he's bored. Because what he has on the other side are hood ornaments, like this. That's something that any shopping center developer knows. Any gap between one store and the next store will cause people to turn back and not keep going. You can't gap. Imagine having this continuous gap of a parking lot. I mean, gaps are bad enough in your own downtown where you have them. You know, between frontage and the next frontage, sometimes you still have parking lots. Here, it is absolutely untenable. The least that can happen is that this building should move forward to form something that the pedestrian can look into. Now, this architect can't help it because he's under two restrictions. One is there's a setback for the building, and second of all, there's a very high number of parking spaces required, so there's nothing to do but to put the parking lot in front. In Princeton, New Jersey, what you find is office buildings, you know, with real people there working, real lawyers, you know, real architects, real professionals working there, real insurance companies. But instead of having nothing to do at lunchtime, which is a very low quality of life that you get in these suburban parks, you either have the company cafeteria or you have to get in the car and waste a lot of your time getting to an interesting place. These people come right down and they have a huge choice of restaurants and shops, etc., etc. The parking, of course, is in the back. The reason parking is in the rear is that retail needs some parking in front, but office buildings don't need any parking in front, because you must go to the office building because you either work there or you have an appointment there. You don't get this shopping by enthusiasm, you know, in which, oh, I see something, let me stop because it's convenient. It's an entirely different type of parking, and in Princeton, the parking takes place to the rear. What you have here is a much higher quality of life for the people who work there, and by the way, they pay for it accordingly. All of these rent for much more than these, and they're rarely vacant.